Welcome to my first video in a series of videos on basic data analysis for teachers. In this video, I will show you how to sort your data set, how to do average, minimum, maximum, and also the if function for your data set. For this video, I'm using Google Sheets because it's convenient. You don't have to worry about accessing this by paying. Once you have a Google account, you will have access to Google Sheets. Please remember to subscribe to this channel so that you'll be notified each time I post a new video. So the first thing that we're going to do now is to sort our data based on what you're seeing now. I prepared this one before. We have a mixture of males and females, and of course they're not in any particular order. So we want to sort this into alphabetical order by surname, then we'll sort by gender. We first highlight our data set, including the headings. From the menu bar here, where you see File, Edit, View, Insert, Format Data, you'll click with the mouse, left click Data. You'll hover Sort Range, then click Advanced Range Sorting Options. Now you see the sort range from A3 to H37 appear. You check the box. Once you check the box, let me uncheck. Now, before the box was checked, you see sort by columns. We want to be more specific as to what we are sorting by. So we check to include the header rows. We want to sort by, click on the down arrow, by last name from A to Z, and we click sort. If you notice, if you look at it now, we see Adams, Bailey, Bennett, Blake. So this is sorted by last name, alphabetical order. Now we have our genders all mixed up. So we want to sort now by gender so that we separate our males from our females. And you'll see a little later into the video why it is that this part is necessary. We click on data again, go down to sort range, advanced range sorting option, check data as header row, click again, and select gender and sort. Now, if you look now at your data set, you recognize that our females are separated from our males. And not only that, they are in alphabetical order by gender. Okay, so we have that done. The next thing we want to do is to do our average. Now, in Google Sheets, like Excel, like Microsoft Excel, you have to tell the software where to find the data, right? The words here are called labels, and the numbers are called values. Now, when you're working with Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, the same, you must tell the software or the spreadsheet where the data is by telling it its cell address. The cell address is made up of the column letter and the row number. So, for example, 44 is found in column D, row 4. Now, for the average, we want to use the average function, and these functions follow a particular format. And so it's important that you know the format, because if you don't type the correct format, you will not get the desirable result. So we start with the equal sign. We say equal average. Now you notice that once I started typing, the spreadsheet highlighted the values that we were working with, right? So what I'll do, since as that is exactly what we want to do, I'll just press the enter key and it gives us the answer. Now we do not want to be putting in the formula for all the data set that we have here for all the students. So we'll be using what we call the autofill function. Now you notice that when I click the cell, a blue circle appears at the lower end of the cell address. So what we do is to put the mouse right where that is, left click and pull down right to the end of the set of values that we have, or the end of where we have the last student. Now, I did not do any formatting of the values to indicate, well, I want them to be two place decimals are one. So we have them here. We want to sort this out. To here, where you have this is a shortcut, we're going to click on it and reduce it. So this is one. Let us let it stay at one place decimal. All right. So now we have our student average based on the classwork and the homework and tests that we would have given for the month of January. So here we see for the month of January, or the average of each student based on the 3 pieces of work that would have been given. Now at the end of that month, the month of January, this tells you what's happening with your students. Okay, now you can decide what you want to call this. If you want to call it, under here where we have the status, we want to tell what this score means. It's easy to say pass or fail, or we can say excellent, or fair, or satisfactory. You'd have to determine what it is. But in most cases, we may say, all right, we're going to set a pass rate or a pass score to say, okay, if students achieve 50%, they pass. And if it's below 50, they fail. So to make it easier, we can use pass or fail. So this is the if function, right? But we are first going to do the minimum and maximum functions first. The minimum function tells the lowest score received, and the maximum function tells the maximum score received. Now, the first thing I want us to do, because the minimum and maximum table is all the way to my right, we want to write down first where the numbers are located so that we can just drop them in. So based on what we have here, the first person, first female, so looking at the end of month average, so we're using G. We're using G, so we're using G4 to G20 for the females, and we are using G21 to G37 for the males. All right, so we are moving over. I want to look at the average for the month. The average for the month. So here we are. Want to look at the minimum and maximum based on the average for the month for the males and the females. The females start at G4 and end at G20, and the males start at G21 and ends at G37. So here we want to find the minimum score for the males. So we say equal min, open bracket, for the males. So we say G21. Because we are looking at a range of scores, we use in Sheets, Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, we use the colon, right, to represent, to show range. So we have G21, work with the males first, colon, G37. So this is saying G21 to G37. And we close the bracket. Now I'm going over and down to show you once it is that you would have inserted the correct cell address, Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel will automatically highlight the cells, and you can use that to tell whether or not you have entered the correct cell addresses. So you notice that here the G21 to G37 has been highlighted. Let us go back. Alright, so once we enter that in close bracket, we press the enter key there. So our minimum score for our males is 27.3. That's our minimum score for our males, 27.3. Then let us do the same thing for our females. Our females scores start at G4 and ends at G20. So we say equal minimum, open bracket, G4, select a colon for the range, and we say G20. And we say enter. So our minimum score is 27.7. But let us go now over to this side to see if this is indeed correct. So we say our male score is 27.3 and our female score is 27.7. So if we look, our minimum score for females in terms of average, minimum average is 27.7. We set us okay for females, and our minimum for our males is 27.3. You see it highlighted there. Let's enter the formula for the maximum function. So we start again, equal maximum, open bracket. We want to do it for the males. So once again, the males are located between G21 colon and G37. We press the enter key and we get the maximum score. And repeat the same process for the females, G4 to G20. So we have looked at the minimum and maximum. Having completed the minimum and maximum for both gender, it's now time for us to look at the status to see whether it is that we are satisfied with the student's performance. That is, if they would have scored a passing grade, let us work with 50, they would have passed. If not, they would have failed. Now for this, we are going to use the if function. I want to tell the sheet if the students have scored 50% and over, they have passed. If not, it's deemed as failed. I want to note that it's important to use the formula as they are given. The functions are in a particular way, whereas most Google Sheet functions will start with the equal sign. If we do not start with the equal sign, then the software will not interpret it as us wanting to calculate something. So the equal sign instructs Google Sheet that we want to calculate something. So it recognizes that as a function. So we start with the equal sign and we are using the if function, right? So we say if, open parenthesis, if, and we're going to start with the females. The females start at row 4, and remember we are looking at the average. So the average is on the G column, right? So we are saying that if G4, which of course is 42, if G4 is greater than or equal to 50, then we have a comma, open quotation, it's a pass, close quotation, then we have a comma to say if not, another open quotation, it is fail. Then we close it, close parenthesis. Now, based on what we said, and you see it here in the formula window, if G4 is supposed to be G4, so this should be G4. So if G4 is greater than or equal to 50, it's a pass. If not, it's a fail. Right? Now, because we are using the same column head, we can copy the formula. Copy the formula so we can use the autofill feature. And we copy down to right down to the last student. And you notice here, if I click on it and I look in the formula window, this is G37. So G37, which is 58.3, is greater than or equal to 50. It's a pass. It's greater than 50. So it's a pass. Look at this one. If I click here, you see it here. This is G36, column G, row 36. If it's greater than or equal to 50, it's a pass. If not, it's a fail. Now this one is less than 50. So that's why it is a fail. So now you should be able to, having watched this video, be able to do your average, calculate your minimum and maximum score, as well as the pass and failure rate of your students based on what they would have scored at the end of the month. Thanks for watching.